A study published in August 2026 found that stress literally scrambles your brain's internal GPS. Cortisol, your stress hormone, made people significantly worse at navigating, planning, and thinking clearly. Not metaphorically worse, measurably, physically worse on brain scans. If you have ever blanked on an exam you studied for, or made a decision under pressure you immediately regretted, that is cortisol hijacking your prefrontal cortex in real time. Here is what stress actually does step by step. The amygdala detects a threat, real or perceived. It sends an emergency signal. The hypothalamus activates the stress response. Cortisol and adrenaline flood your system. Your heart rate climbs. Blood flow redirects from your prefrontal cortex, the thinking brain, to your muscles and survival systems in 30 seconds. Your capacity for rational thought, memory. The problem for teens in 2026 is that this system was designed for short, acute threats. A predator, a physical danger. The stress resolves. Cortisol drops. The prefrontal cortex comes back online. But chronic stress, the kind that comes from sustained academic pressure, social anxiety, and digital comparison, keeps cortisol elevated for weeks and months. The research is getting more specific about the damage. Chronic cortisol exposure during adolescence physically alters the hippocampus, the brain's memory center, reducing its volume over time. This is not abstract. Teens under chronic stress literally have structurally different brains than their peers who are not. The window to prevent this is now, while the brain is still plastic enough to recover. "83% of teens name school and grades as their number one source of stress. That is not a coincidence given what the research shows about academic pressure and cortisol. The grade itself is not the problem. The sustained, chronic, relentless pressure to perform, with no adequate recovery time built into the system, is the mechanism through which the school environment is Sleep is the primary cortisol reset mechanism. During deep sleep, your brain clears cortisol and consolidates the day's learning and emotional experiences. Exercise is the second reset mechanism. Physical activity metabolizes cortisol directly. A 20-minute walk after a stressful event reduces cortisol by a measurable amount within the hour. This is not motivation advice. This is pharmacology. Your body processes stress. Social connection is the third reset mechanism, and the most underused. Co-regulation is a real neurobiological process. When you are physically near someone you feel safe with, your nervous system reads their calm and downregulates your own stress response. This is why a conversation with a trusted person after a hard day genuinely changes your cortisol levels, not just your mood. The feeling of relief is biochemical. The pattern most teens are running is the opposite of all three. Sleep deprived, sedentary after school, and socially isolated despite being digitally connected. Each of these removes a cortisol reset mechanism. The result is a sustained elevated baseline that compounds over weeks and years. The anxiety, the brain fog, the emotional volatility, they are not character flaws. They are the predictable outputs of a nervous system that has not been allowed to reset. The intervention is not willpower. It is design. Structure your environment so that cortisol reset happens automatically. A fixed sleep window. A daily movement habit. Any movement. One real social interaction per day. These are not luxuries. They are the maintenance schedule for the only brain you will ever have. The stress will not stop coming. but your brain's ability to process it and recover from it can be rebuilt. If this video opened your eyes to how stress hijacks your brain, hit share and help a friend break the cycle. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a tip for mastering stress before it masters you.